Welcome to Kuseli Cafe. In this second season, Norway Your Way, we present our fourth episode. I'm Dariella Scavino.
And I'm Kozłowska. And today we're going to talk about kindergarten, about how it is in Norway, how we as mother experience it. So join us in this episode. So first, let's start in a little personal. How do you feel about kindergarten? Dariella, your daughter has started this year, so it's quite fresh. Have you already settled in the new barnehage? How do you feel about it?
Yes, now I can say I'm settled in. The first month was not so easy, and I have to be very, very honest. It was not easy the first days. It was very emotional, and it's such a big step to be taking care. In my case, I stayed with my daughter until she was 2 years old. So I was working very little, and with my husband, we were making the space so I could work twice a week, but the rest of the day I was with my daughter, Lara, and I was taking care of her. I was taking care of changing her diapers or feeding her, comforting her when she was crying. And then someone else was going to do that for some hours a day. And the first day that I went to the barnehage, because that's how we say kindergarten here, barnehage, kindergarten, kids garden, was a little hard because I was getting to know the carers, the people that was going to take care of her, and I was scanning, trying to understand how they are, how do they talk to children, how they behave, so much. And at the same time, as a mother, I was detaching from that part, from a very important phase for us. That was her first year. She was born, she was with me. So the first 2 days in Barnehage, we went with my husband and stayed a few hours with her. And my husband would tell by my face that I was was a little sad. And when we left the Barnehage, and then we're going to talk about adaptation process, right? When we left that first day, after staying 2 hours with her, and she said, now you could go, and we call you. So we went out for 1 hour. We went to a cafe and back. In the car, I started crying, and he told me, I knew you wanted to.
Well, it is hard. I understand you. Yeah. But now, how do you feel about it?
Now I'm very happy with Lara's barnehage. First, I really like the carers. They are so sweet and considerate. There is a very good communication, although my Norwegian is very, very poor. And one of them don't speak English. All the rest do. They are 4 permanent, and then the assistants that sometimes could change because they rotate with the other classes, because they are students mainly. So with the one that doesn't speak English, at the beginning I was like, oh my God, how is this going to be? Because my Norwegian is very poor, and this is so important. I really want to understand everything. So with the others, I could finally communicate, and it's very nice. And another aspect that I like a lot is that her barnehage is next to a forest, so the installations, the playground is very nice, and in the back side it's just trees, and there is a little fence, of course, so they wouldn't run in the forest. So they open the door, and they go to excursions all the time. Even now that it's winter here and there is some snow and some ice, they still go with all their suits to play. And they have some place that for me as a foreigner coming from a warmer country, I wouldn't know what to play in the snow. The snowman, okay, that's it. But then they bring some toys and animals and they create a lot of things and they have always different projects in nature. So I love that about her Barnehage. So I'm really happy that she's living this phase of her life, this beginning here in this Horten Barnehage.
Mm. Have
And
you
how about
also
you?
one more question. Have you also
Yeah.
been like
Okay.
waiting for her to go to kindergarten? Was there a part of you that wanted more time for yourself, more time for your project, and also to see her out there? You know,
Yes.
how like to give her this chance to be a part of you also.
Yeah. It was very gradual because children, when they are born, they go from absolutely doing nothing to start learning things. So you start seeing that they can now communicate their needs. They can not just cry for everything, but also say some words. And that, of course, as a mother, you start seeing that also you can turn your eye and put your energy also in some other things. So as she started Barnehage when she was 2 years and 3 months. She was already speaking. She still uses diapers, but that's not a problem here in Norway, fortunately, because I know in some countries it is. You need to be dry before going to a kindergarten. And myself, I started also naturally. I think it also happens in your biology that you start like, okay, now I want to go a little more deeply in my personal project. And I have many projects before when I was pregnant that started coming to my mind. Oh, I feel this motivation again to put attention on that too and a lot of energy. So yes, it all came together. My personal motivation to do a little more of my work, go back to my work more intensely and more times. And at the same time, I was feeling that I could let her do some evolve and develop in another environment, which was a nice, also new phase for her. Yeah.
Mm. I feel that at some point you can also see that they crave other kids, you know, some other people than only parents and close family. And it seems like a kindergarten is the great opportunity to have these first friendships because they spend together all day, and it's amazing to see these new friendships just growing. Yeah, we talked. We in one episode we already talked about motherhood in Norway. So if anyone wants to, you can listen to this episode again, or maybe refresh a little bit, because we both talked about it that our kids stayed longer at home. So Felix also was with me until he was nearly 2 years old, and we talked that it's very typical in Norway that kids go to kindergarten when they are 1 year old. So for us, it wasn't the typical Norwegian experience, which we are very happy about, I guess, and even more now from this perspective of a bigger child, slightly bigger. I really appreciate, like, looking back at our time together these 2 years. I really appreciate it now, even though at that time sometimes I was tired, maybe overwhelmed by this time and this energy. But I really appreciate it now. I think we had some fun, and also we could build other friendships during that time, like
It
with
is
you and your daughter.
It
So
is
that's
very
also great.
important for them. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely will shape the even the way he sees life and people and himself and his
Mm,
place in this planet.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. And how
So
was
I can.
you can share now your moving because you shared before that you were starting Barnehage in Horten, but you have to move and he had to change place. How
Yes,
was the
exactly.
transition?
So Felix was in Horten. He was in Familie Barnehage, which is family kindergarten, let's say. And it was a kindergarten with 4 kids and 1 lady, and it was at her house. She also had a garden with a playground outside. So it was basically like every other kindergarten, just really, really small comparing to others. And it was very nice because it was nice as a start, because it was less kids, so it was maybe less scary, and not a lot of there was only small kids group, so it was kids until 3 years old, so it's also a big difference. And now Felix is in a big kindergarten and also in a bigger group, so it's for kids from 3-year-old to 6-year-old even, because when they finish kindergarten, they are 6 and then they go to school. So some of the kids right now, it's their last year in the kindergarten, they turn 6. So it seems also like quite a difference. And so Felix is in small kids among the big kids. So that's quite a difference. But it's been also very, very good. I think he was ready for it. In the Familie Barnehage, he also developed Norwegian, so now he can communicate easily. He talks in Norwegian better than us, so that's very useful. He also doesn't use a diaper, so it was very much a different experience than last year. And we talked about it a lot also, that we were moving. We talked about it, that he's going to start this kindergarten, which is just next to our apartment, so we could see it every day. We would go during summer to play in the playground of this kindergarten, because that's a very important note, that kindergartens, that you can, in Norway, you can enter the playground of kindergartens, of schools. So whenever it's after hours or in the summer or feria or whatever, Christmas, you can just go and play in the playground. That I think is not common in other countries. So that was very helpful in this process, that we can already talk about the kindergarten while being just there in their area. And also it was very funny because we didn't know when the application deadline is in March 1st, I think. We didn't know by that time if we're going to move to Oslo or not. So it was a possibility, but it wasn't a plan yet. So we had to apply to Horten and to Oslo Kommune also. So it's not a problem if you don't know where exactly you're gonna need your kindergarten spot. So you can apply to different commune, and they have also, every commune has their own rules on how many kindergartens you can apply. So it's like you can choose your preference, but it doesn't mean that definitely that you're gonna get a spot in this particular kindergarten. But you can always choose, like, express your preference. And in Oslo, we could have choose 5 kindergartens. So that's a lot. Unfortunately, we got the one that we wanted the most, and that we now live just next to it. And the reason why we chose this kindergarten was food, actually. And maybe it's a bit surprising, but first we looked at, some Montessori kindergarten or Natur Barnehage or some other kind of features or facilitation, because one kindergarten even had this like little line park for climbing and stuff in their area. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. But then I thought, wait, Nina, this is not as important as everyday food that they get. And it's not, we focused on this aspect because at the end of the day, food is one of the most important aspects of our lives. And actually, in Norway, as we're gonna maybe right now discuss, it's not typical to have a warm lunch every day, right?
No, yeah, it's not common. If for children or for adults, lunch
Both.
yeah, for both. If they take a snack, if they take a matpakke, they normally take bread or knäckebröd, this little toast with some pålägg, so something to put on top. We can vary, and there's not a wide variety. A few vegetables like paprika or cucumber, cheese, mackerel, caviar. Yes, and some companies have a cantina, so you can go for a meal. But Marnehages, there's a big discussion on social media in these mother groups about what do they give to the child. They cannot live off bread and butter
Yeah.
because the meals not necessarily have a soup, a stew, something prepared, but it's something easy to just like a cheese sandwich, for example. Yeah, that's a very important thing. It's very important for me also what Lara eats, and I have try not to be so harsh or complain or no, just at home she has everything, a big variety. I think in terms of weeks, like to have I don't know, different grains, the rice and different vegetables, different type of pulse, different type of when we chicken one day, fish another day. So she can have everything at home. But in the Barnehage, she has a lot of bread every day. Can I can bread? So I've been talking to the ladies in charge, and they were very open, really, to what my concern, and which was mainly because she was eating too much mackerel and caviar, which has sugar, and it's a product that comes in a can or in this kind of sachet thing, and every day. I think that's a lot of sugar, and not the kind of diet I would like for my daughter. And I said, okay, let's look for an alternative. It was nice. And on the other hand, I can see that they are very, very careful and respectful in terms of allergies and any kid intolerance. So they have a list of what children cannot eat. For example, some children cannot drink dairy or dairy products. Some other have gluten, others other kind of disposition. So they are really...
They are also open on for diets on like vegetarian. So they always like keep score which child doesn't need something, or also some dietary restriction that comes with religion. So they pay attention like which meat they can't eat and stuff like that. So
and
that
there
is
is no meat in the Barnehage. They don't prepare things with egg, and when they do, it's just once a month. And what I really discovered recently is that once a month they have pulse, which is sausage. And I was like, what? Why do you give sausage to a child? But of course, in Norway, it's very common to eat pulse and to give that on birthdays, or if you stop in the road, there's only sausages. And children have this kind of meal all the time, which is something that I wouldn't like my daughter to have so frequent. But of course, they said once a month, and it's okay.
Yeah. Also, fiskekake. Have you tried it?
Yes. I do it once a month at home, honestly.
We haven't... I haven't tried it yet, but Felix likes it when it's in kindergarten. And once we had this vegan pulse, let's say, vegan sausage, and he at home, and he thought it's fiskekake. He was like, "Oh, fiskekake!" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, let's go with the flow."
The color.
So he's gonna find out from this podcast in 10 years that it was not a fiskekake.
Fiskekake. Yes. and they don't give sugar also to children, because, for example, I don't give anything with sugar to my daughter. And there comes another thing we could talk about, and is how can you balance where you don't want to feed to your daughter, and then they go out and you cannot control? How do you balance how you feel, and how do you balance that she won't feel the pressure either that I shouldn't, it's forbidden, but yeah. And it's a part of learning as a mother how to deal with that
Yeah.
you want the best, and what you think is the best under your understanding, and then you take them somewhere else, a barnehage, they spend a lot of time, or a birthday party, and it's like, okay, now I need to just soften that a little bit, and so I don't get so stressed, and she's gonna be okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Barnehage, they have their own rules, and you can also find out after in the afternoon or evening, your child will say stuff that he brings from kindergarten, like du må ikke gjøre det, or something that like you can do that, you can do this. Like they just acquire a lot of these new rules. And yeah, it's not always the same as at home, but I guess it's just a part of like letting them go.
Yeah, how it has been for you as a vegetarian when you interact with the kindergarten, and how is that they take care of that?
Actually, in the previous kindergarten, they didn't have meat at all. They had fish, and they even had oat milk. So it was perfect, because we also don't have milk at home. Although if he wants, he can have it. But I guess he just also prefers oat milk. And in this kindergarten, at first in this app, we had to fill all the information, including dietary restrictions, and we just said he's pescatarian. He can eat fish. And yeah, they have so many kids with so many rules that they really keep track of it, and it's not a problem. They have their own chef in the there is a kitchen in kindergarten, and the chef is preparing meals every day. So if it's so they have lots of different food, and he just prepares some versions of the same meal that is just without meat, with something else. So they have been great, and I never heard Felix complaining about something. Like, he also never tries meat. It's very funny that when we ask him, he thinks that only dogs eat meat. And then I was like, because in our home, only the dog eats meat. So this is how he thought. And then I explained to him, no, the other people can eat meat if they want to, but we don't eat meat. So he understands it now, I think. And he never, but like if someone else is eating meat, like someone from our family, he doesn't crave for it. I don't know. I thought it would be more confusing for him, but it's actually not. I don't understand really how it happened that he gets it. But he really likes fish. So, yeah, we're being flexible about it. My approach is that if he wants to try, he can try. Like, I'm not gonna forbid it. I don't think it's dangerous or something. So it's not about that. But he's just not used to it. So, yeah. But the kindergarten is very good at keeping track of kids. Yeah. But
Yeah.
about the food, as we talked, it's controversial. It's definitely not the Polish approach, and we were a bit shocked at first. In the previous kindergarten, they only had bread and stuff, but this is just Norwegian culture approach, and you can't really you can talk maybe about some products, but it's not that you can complain about the system and they're gonna change it. So then you just need to pay more attention for dinner, what to actually provide to just take care of all of the nutrition needs, knowing what's in kindergarten. But so the biggest difference right now for us is that I just feel that he gets more during the day, so we can be more chilled about the supper. And if he eats like for supper, he can eat bread. Last year we didn't give him bread for supper because he get it in kindergarten.
Enough bread, yes.
Yeah, or for breakfast we were very like always some kind of pancakes or some kind of or scrambled eggs or omelette or like something just other than bread, because I had always in my mind he's gonna get enough bread in kindergarten.
That's for sure. And now in winter they are gonna have ice also. It's funny to go to
And
the
snow.
kindergarten and they're all outside with eating ice, and they find it so funny and one copy the other, so they end up all eating ice and drinking cold water out there.
Yep, it is typical, and I thought that maybe because we have a dog and Felix can see that when we go on a walk, the dog pees on the snow and poops and stuff. No, this explanation does not help at all. I mean, maybe he's not really picking the yellow snow, but still it's hard to explain. And even if it's like the dirty snow on the road or something, he still tries to like play with it. And or even like when we go on the parking, he would get the snow from cars. I'm like, oh no, this is like so dirty.
Oh yeah, Lara is cleaning the cars with her gloves.
Yeah.
Yes, and my husband told me that you shouldn't eat the ice on the snow because then you can have worms, and they are not going to be in a good place. And then your mother have to look into your buttocks and search for that. That was some memory from his childhood, I guess, in the farm.
Traumatic.
Yes. So that's about food. We can share now about pricing. How much do we pay for a kindergarten nowadays, 2025, here in Norway?
Yes. Now it's 2,000 kronas. It was 3,000 until last year, but they dropped the price, fortunately. Which was still not very expensive, and now I never considered kindergarten expensive, and now I consider it very, very cheap.
Yes, I share the idea. If I would be in Peru raising my daughter or Argentina, I would need to pay at least that for a kindergarten that I would like. For the kindergarten that I would choose would be over 3,000 kroner every month. And there are other expenses as well, which here are included. For example, here in Norway, in the kindergarten, you don't need to bring pencils or papers or, that list of requirements between glue or cardboard or prepare something. Absolutely nothing. They have a lot of projects like painting or making up stories, and everything. All the material is provided by the Barnehage. And I think that is not just money saving, but also time and energy. Parents, because I remember my mother running to look for the purple paper and the other big one for this one and the tapes and everything. I don't have to look for anything. It's there.
that is really good. What you need for kindergarten is of course clothes. Winter dress, rain dress,
and that could be very expensive or not. because they need many layers for winter. So they need to have wool or bamboo, depending on the kids, because they may have allergy, and then have a freezer, and then on top the big dress. And those you can spend for one big good dress 2,000 kroner, but then you go to the outlet and it's 50% or 70% off. Or you can go to finn.no and buy it for little, for less, for 200.
Or you can also go to Lepe Market. So when people just say just sell used clothes, and that's a very good option, because as we know, kids grow so fast. Yeah.
And also in Finn.no or people we give away. Like I receive clothes from my sister-in-law who have older children, and of course I'm gonna give it away.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible. I think the hardest is the shoes, because the shoes, they use it so much, and it has to be the right size. So then probably there you have to invest a little. I personally know that for shoes I will invest, and then for all the clothing, we go to the outlet, we receive some, and it's affordable. It's not a problem at the end, the clothes.
You also need a backpack for the trips, that they go a lot, but that differs from kindergarten to kindergarten. And also sometimes you can get some comment on like what type of dress they like. Like in our kindergarten, they said that if we buy the next one, he should have one piece. So that it's easier for kids to take on, and they are learning how to do it. So it's if you are getting the new, it's nice maybe to ask. And also we get the comment about the rain shoes, because we had ones that were, in my opinion, very good, but they were quite low. But when we were going on the trips, just two of us, it wasn't such a problem, because I was paying attention if he's dressed properly, like if the leg is completely covered and stuff like that. And in kindergarten, they can't really pay attention to every child on every minute. So of course they have some of their preferences and stuff like that. But good communication with kindergarten is very important. About the price, we also pay, additionally to this 2,000, we pay for food, and that differs from kindergarten to kindergarten, because that depends what they offer, how much they spend. In the previous kindergarten, I think we paid 400 krona. Now we pay 900. But as I said, there is a separate chef working there. So I still don't think it's very expensive as for good quality food.
I pay half of that, and I don't have a chef, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
I would say. Let's talk about time. Everything we're sharing is what we know, but the food price is going to change to another Barnehage, not too much. And then the time is also, some Barnehage may open 6:45 or 7 in the morning and finish at 4 or 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon. In my case, yes, you can take her from 7, and you can pick her up to 4:30 in the afternoon. And I was recently talking to a friend who is on the search of the Barnehage in Oslo, and she's going to having meetings, because you can go before making the decision and get to know the place, go around, talk to the people, and see if you like their way. Although it's been very standardized, you can of course have preferences. And she said, I work far, and maybe I don't reach 4:30. What happens? And I said, you pay 500 kroner for every minute you come late. And she was like,
every minute?
Every minute.
Oh
They have
my
never
God.
told me that, but I never go that late. But it never came up into the conversation. And she said she went to other Barnehage and she was worried. And she asked, and they said, it's okay. We understand. It's fine. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that it's someone is working. Maybe they also need to pick up their kids from another kindergarten, from school, and stuff like that. So I understand, and in ours they ask it's open until 5 p.m. But they ask that at 5 p.m. you are walking. You that you already need to take the child out and not to come on 5 p.m. and start dressing and stuff like that, because it also takes time. They just want to close the door at
No,
5.
you
So I
know,
understand
in
that,
my
but
experience, if you go late, he's already dressed.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's very important to check the time of the kindergarten, and a lot of people actually choose kindergarten if they have more in the area. They choose because of the time that suits them. One more thing that I thought about, and that could differ a lot from Norway to different countries. I know in Poland it's different. Is that how many people are working in kindergarten? So I think it's by law there should be one adult, like a teacher, for 5 kids in this at least in this age 3 to 5. I don't know about the smaller. So in Felix's group there are now like 24 kids, and they have five adults every day. That can depend in if a lot of kids take some days off. You have to register it in the app at least 2 weeks before, so that they know how to plan the how many people come, because if they have some shortage of people, they bring this vehicle. So there can be students or some other people working in a different barnehage when they have need. So I think that's also very much different, that in Poland only people with pedagogical education work at kindergarten and take care of kids. So it's like barnehagelærer in here, so a teacher. And in Norway they also have like 2 teachers per group, but they also have barnehage assistants that can play with kids and take care of them. So it's actually like more hands on board.
Yeah, in Peru is also regulated the number of children per teacher, but I don't remember the number. Not really. But what I was going to say is that it's very different from Latin America, or even in Spain, that you start when you're 3, and you start to what it's called kindergarten or jardín, garden, also garden. It's more formal, and in most you use a uniform. You dress like a school, and you have a
Wow.
lot of also. They teach you things like letters and number. For example, I went in Brazil. I live in Brazil and Argentina during my barnehage time. So I was almost 2 years in Sao Paulo in barnehage, where I would go in, I don't know, from 5 hours, because you don't go long in Latin America. And I would have classes. I would learn. I end up with 4 years and a half knowing to write. There was a lot of homework. I recently found in my mother a box like this. It was just 1 year. With every bimester, there was all the sheets A4 with so many tasks and writing letters and numbers and choose the right answer and fill this, paint this in between the lines. And it was so much pressure to me. Wow, that's the way I am. I understand the way I am a lot with that
Now
childhood.
you know.
Yes, it's very different nowadays, because we encourage children to create, to play without so much pressure. I mean, they can always learn, but it was very different back then. And it's very different nowadays in Latin America as well, because parents appreciate the fact that children may learn and they are kind of in a school. But here, it's not a school. It's definitely there is no uniform, and it's flexible time. You don't need to take them and pick them up at a certain time. You drop them whenever you can, and you pick them up whenever you can. It's always fine. It's gonna be adjust to your schedule. So they are not in school. It's not a school.
No.
Different from school. That's why it's not mandatory. You can also skip it and go straight to school, which is free,
Mm-hmm.
and start the school. And I like that there is that flexibility here. That is a very nice model. I like the program. It's standardized nationwide, and you can really use that flexible time because children, it's very good to have a routine. And it's very good that they have the time for their meals and they can understand their daily chores or play. They give them a lot of stability, but at the same time, they have to sleep what they need to sleep, and they have to eat what they need to eat. So you cannot say wake up 6:30 in the morning. No.
Yeah. And that also
love the
differs.
flexibility that I can let Lara sleep until she wakes up. And when she's sick, she naturally wakes up later. I'm not going to wake her up before to see if you're sick, if you're going to bed. No, just whenever you wake up, we see.
Yeah. And that differs a lot between kids. Some kids are in kindergarten, 7 a.m. Some kids come after 9. And we have also so much different days with Felix. Sometimes I bring him 7:30 because he got up after 6. That depends, and sometimes we can't even be there on time for 9:30 when they go for the trip, and we are like running sometimes in the. Some days I would show Felix from our balcony in the kitchen, from where you can see the kindergarten. I would take him and show him, look, the kids are ready to go for the trip. We have to be very fast. And yeah,
yeah, because as we said, our children have 2 and 3 years. They don't understand the concept of time. So you may say, we have to go is late and whatever.
Yeah, but when I show him, he's like, and he loves to go on the trip. Last week, he was asking every day, is it the trip today? Is the trip today? So, yeah, he likes these little adventures. And here in the city, they also not only go somewhere to nature, so they take a bus and go to the forest, for example, but also they take a metro, Tebane, and go to some museum or to other playground. So it doesn't have to be a trip in a way like huge adventure in the mountains. It's also like just another bigger playground.
Oh, and yeah, they love the bus. They love that. Yes, Lara is also
falling asleep on the bus.
They what? They fall asleep in the
falling
bus.
asleep on the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, I was amazed when I saw the children going in the bus. So many with the teachers. I mean, there was enough teachers, but it was so funny because the buses sometimes they don't have seatbelts.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they have to go. They are not the little ones. They are the ones, of course, that have 4 or 5. I haven't seen little with 2 years old. But anyway, if they have to go out with the little ones, they do. They go with these big strollers where they carry 4 or 6 kids at a time. And I wonder, how did teachers train? Because you need to be strong because it's up and downhill. This is not flat. And they go hill to the mountain, hill down.
And also on winter when it's, a bit slippery or when you have to just go through the snow. Yeah, they are.
And they
are amazing.
And they also, a little bit following the thread from last episode about winter and how we perceive winter, they have this, winter is just another season. And so they are going to go out and find everything fun to do. They never say we go, I can imagine they open the door and they don't say, oh, it's cold.
Yeah,
which is what I honestly I say, and I have always heard, you open it, oh, how cold. And then when now I think a lot about that. I open the door with Lara, we go out, and she would never say absolutely any comment about the weather. It's fine, it's raining. I want to jump in the water. So instead of saying, oh, look, it's been raining, But I really need to think about it because, I was raised listening other different speech about what to do outside in winter. Normally, it's winter. It's not. We don't go out because it's been raining, and now doesn't matter. We go out
No,
because it's
it's
fun.
even the opposite. 2 days ago, Felix looked through the window and saw that there are puddles because it was raining, and he said, "Ja, I will go ute because it was raining, because there are puddles to jump in, you know."
Yeah.
So yeah. And also about the kindergarten, it's very important that kids also sleep outside in the strollers if they still have naps. Then, of course, that is a Norwegian standard, no matter the weather. Although last year, when it was at least when it was minus 10 degrees, the Barnehage lady said that kids will sleep inside. So they have some boundaries, they have some rules, but generally, the kids sleep outside, and everyone is um, just prepared for that, because that's usually how they sleep before they go to kindergarten. So that's normal.
Yes.
And now, when Felix is in a bigger group, they don't sleep, but they can if they are tired. So they have this room for like chilling with like pillows, and they listen to some audiobooks there. So whenever they go for a bigger trip for the tour, afterwards, and after they eat, they have this um, time to like this like quiet time
A quiet
to
time.
rest. So that's also
Yeah.
good. It's not like they wanna ruin your child in a Norwegian barnehage and to do all of the crazy stuff. They also wanna find the balance.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. They listen to the child, and if your child sleeps, they sleep. If not, not. Well, I think we have shared a lot of our stories in Barnehage. We would love to hear from you. If you are a parent or you plan to be, if you have a Barnehage or if you are looking for one.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening.
It was very good to talk about it. It's quite an episode, and we talked about a lot of stuff and informations and emotions, because I think it's very important for both of us. So that's good. I hope it was interesting for the listeners who have kids or who don't, but it's just culturally very interesting thing, Norwegian barnehage. Let us know if you have any comments or questions. It was lovely today. Thank you.
Yes, in our next episode, we are going to continue talking about our way in Norway. And we are going to talk about a very important matter, and it's about making friends,
Yeah,
right? Our
that's the idea.
stories. We are friends. And we made friends here
Yeah. And we
in
love
Norway.
the TV show Friends.
Yes, share that
On
too.
top of that, also follow us on Instagram and YouTube, where you can see our faces, how we're laughing and smiling, and all of that, and put the face to the voice. Yeah, thank you so much. Ha det bra.
Ha det bra.